Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the Valley of the Judged. I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra, and with me, I have my good brother here in the temple, our resident sky pirate, good brother Sizer.
Hoy and avast me hearties. We've taken the airship to Gen Con and back, and let me tell ya, we are tired.
Yeah, he is dealing with con crud. It hasn't gotten bad enough where he's under the weather, but con crud is still a thing.
Definitely. I thought I was coming down with something worse last night, but I was feeling better this morning. So we're hanging in there for now, folks. Maybe only by a thread, but we're hanging in there.
Yep. So we are back once again with Shadowscar, and we're actually in the finale this week. We're going to be going through the storytelling and the rogues gallery part of things, and then give our overall thoughts on Shadowscar as a whole. And past that, we'll be going into what we've got planned for the coming weeks. But
beautiful.
As I've said plenty of times with this, I cannot but appreciate the art direction for what we see with Shadowscar.
Very nice, very consistent, and very helpful in this particular case.
It is somewhat amusing that we have wild growth being used to restrain the Oni. We have one person engaging it using dual wielding, and another who might try and hit from the back with a poisoned arrow.
Very sneaky, very ninja-like.
Although we kind of touched on this when we talked about the mission design, not every ninja mission might be the sneaky one.
No, that's very true. You might be doing more social stealth, or you might be just straight up fighting a guy or a yokai.
Because remember, the Steiner School of Stealth still applies at times. It is still a successful stealth mission if they're all dead.
Yep.
I'd say this is also known as the Eversor method of assassinations, but calling an Eversor a assassin is technically true, but completely misleading.
I hear you.
Because they don't really sneak around. It's more of they get dropped into an area and are high up on a dozen or so cocktails of combat drugs and indoctrinated rage and told rip and tear.
Yeah, that'll get you, folks. Especially if you're the one if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah. At which point they'll probably have to spend a few hours on the Viscera cleanup detail.
Which we also have rules for in this setting.
But so then we get to the Storyteller's Guide proper. There are going to be some things I'm going to be skimming, if only because there's not a whole lot to really dissect.
Yeah, it looks like we've got a lot of sort of general advice here.
We obviously have the notes of players that if you're not going to be playing, you shouldn't be reading this section. And ending with, that being said, I can't make you do anything, just be warned. Then we go into what a storyteller is, where it talks about describing the world that you're in, the NPCs that you have to play, as well as being the adjudicator of the rules. And then tips for storytelling, also known as, for the love of God, please learn from my mistakes.
Well, at least they're being forthright with us.
Getting to know your players is one part of it. I say this is something I spend a lot more time on than some GMs that I know. Then avoiding storytelling traps. The Storyteller's NPC is the first one. The GMPC, as it's known in some circles.
Uh-huh.
Also known as the Babysitter.
You know, I don't know if pointing this out is ever going to stop anyone from actually doing it. The people
it's not going to stop
Go
them, but they can still be shamed.
Yes.
You know, in the same way that we heap all the scorn in the world on that GM.
Yep.
Oh
boy.
And they do bring out railroading. Though oddly enough, I've seen a phenomena where some people are overcorrecting on railroading and end up creating a thing that's a little bit too sprawling for its own good.
Sure, not every moment has to be a sandbox.
Mm-hmm. But they talk about separation, you know, the whole player knowledge and character knowledge kind of thing. Overcomplication. I'm glad that they bring up this because that is one of the easiest traps for GMs to fall into, especially when it comes to overthinking a situation, both GMs and players.
Yeah. And let me tell you, Monk, this is the one that I most often fall into as a trap, because I think I'm keeping things simple. You know, I just write, oh, and if they do this, maybe they'll meet this NPC. But for every person you add, every additional NPC, you're just making things more complicated. Sometimes it's better to overcorrect in the direction of simple.
Yeah, and they do talk about how if you're doing a more mystery-centered game, it's even more tempting to have a bunch of red herrings and the like. This is why I liked the version of the Enemy Within that was in Warhammer 3rd Edition, which was a whodunit mystery. You're trying to uncover a figure known as the Black Cowl, and you have 3 potential suspects, and everything kind of focuses on those 3, and there's some hints and red herring throughout, but those are the only 3 proper suspects. Not because of a railroad, but because they're the main 3 that would have the most means, motive, and opportunity of the roster of NPCs in that module.
Yep.
Is it possible you could go with somebody else? Yeah, but you're going to have to do some work.
Indeed.
And then there's the matter of fudging rolls. I know some GMs, especially ones who like to thump their chest in the OSR side of things, like to say, oh, you should never fudge rolls ever.
Yeah.
I always find that assertion to be laughable, because should you never fudge them? No. Should you fudge them all the time? Probably not. It's one of those things where you should have it in your back pocket if it is necessary. Now, of course, if you've got a GM screen or you're doing hidden rolls, the players are never going to know if you fudged.
Through that, so where's the harm, folks? Yeah.
Now, of course, there have been times where I've rolled loaded dice to have a bit of fun at the player's expense. But I've only ever done that in games that are built a little less serious, so you can have that kind of trolling. Like,
indeed.
Like if I want to reinforce a gambler character NPC who is definitely cheating.
Yep.
And it's one of those things where I think that stating, oh, you should never do it ever is one of those things that feels like a meaningless chest thump. Then we
Yeah,
have.
I agree. It's really grandstanding when it comes right down to it.
Hmm. And hey there, Mario. And yeah, I got a new profile image today, so that's what I'm using for all of my socials. Oh, then we have picking favorites and giving screen time. This is a pretty fair one. The approach that I've often taken is that players have to make their opportunities for role playing. Uh,
Yeah.
if they're sitting passively, they have no room to get mad at me for not giving them the spotlight.
Hmm.
Uh, if you want to play passive, you're gonna get what you pay for.
Yeah. Well, I've got a slightly different take. Was if I know that there's some folks, especially if I know them personally, who might just be a little more naturally quiet and feel like they may be stepping on other people's toes if they try and take the floor. That people are just have that personality type. I'm
Hmm.
willing to let them try and have, to maybe talk with them a little bit more and make sure that they're included. Um, but each table is different. But I can see where you're coming from.
Hmm. The like if they're going to be passive and don't tell me, uh, then it's a case of how I've I've gone through some stories with some people who have served in the military who had to deal with this issue early on, but
Mm,
especially given how bare bones the on the job training is for some positions,
sure.
where there's a bit of buck passing about who's supposed to teach you certain things. Like
Gotcha. Yeah.
the on the job training is like, oh, don't bother, you don't need to learn that yet. Your unit will teach you, and then the unit is like, we weren't supposed to teach you this. Your OTJ was supposed to teach you this. And when you're some um fresh faced recruit at 19 years old, you don't know what you don't know.
Most F.
But if I do a lot, whenever I do campaigns, I often have a whole series of segments where I'm prepping everybody and making clear how things are going to work. And if it's hard for me to act on a problem if I don't know there is a problem.
Right.
Uh, and if somebody is passive, I'm willing to work with them a bit. I'm not going to leave them out in the cold, but at the same time, you got to meet me halfway.
Yeah.
Because helping you out a little bit doesn't mean I'm going to handhold you. Am I going to
True.
throw
I
you?
think maybe what it boils down to is just getting a good read of the room.
Mhm.
Um, and doing your best with to I think I don't know if you'd agree with me, Monk, here, but I think that GMs should sort of facilitate fun, right? That's sort of one of the nice parts of the job.
You are a
Um,
director,
yeah,
and I'm not going to claim that that's an easy thing to do. Some people are going to have that naturally, and some people are not. That's just the nature of the beast.
Mm.
But then we have things like taking notes, which
yeah,
is if need be, fixing mistakes, uh, which when it comes to that, I like that they put up the smaller mistakes and the larger ones.
mm.
Uh, at
Yeah,
times I've retconned.
yeah, exactly. It's certainly easy to retcon, like, oh, I accidentally did that check actually succeeded instead of failed. So maybe you get a nice little benefit now that you didn't have before.
Yeah. Oh, like they give the example of reintroducing a character who they've already killed. Given the subject matter
Yeah.
we're dealing with here, there's an easy out. That wasn't me. That was a double.
Mm. Ooh.
Or the age-old fashion. No, you didn't kill me. You killed my brother. This works especially if you were dealing with call signs.
Yes.
But then keeping checks secret, which is one of those things you're gonna have to do in some cases.
Mhm.
In some games, I never even tell the players how much HP something has, and there's a few games that I've run where that's outright encouraged, like in Unknown Armies, where it's giving a broad description of how you're feeling, but isn't too specific.
Yep.
Uh, but then we have running Shadow Scar. Uh, so we have think of it as a spy thriller, which I'd say certainly works. Uh,
Yeah.
I usually have some sort of thing that I have people watch as part of a watch party for campaigns. I think if I was to do this with Shadow Scar, as tempting as it would be to have them watch a few episodes of Naruto, that's not the approach I would take. Oh, not even say Wicked City or Silent Mobius would be a good idea. I think instead I'd have
Yeah.
them watch some old episodes of Mission Impossible. Not the
Yeah. There you
movies,
go.
the old TV show from the 60s.
Yeah, where we have more than just the main character played by Tom Cruise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A
Tom
team.
Cruise and his running bet with the Grim Reaper.
Yeah, right. Oh boy.
But something like that. I know it'd be tempting to use spy fiction movies, but I think for the mission-based design that we have here, spy fiction TV series is a better thing to draw from. I already mentioned
Indeed.
Mission Impossible, but also, especially if you grew up in the 2000s, Alias.
Yeah. That would be cool. I could see something like the Avengers if you want to go more camp. And of course not the Marvel Avengers. The
The
70s
UK show,
show.
60s.
Yeah. Oh, it's the 60s. Okay.
Yeah, because that was right around the time. The 60s had a massive spy craze.
True. Now that you say that, that's why we're probably why we're getting this. Blades. Was it Blades 69 or whatever? Or the Blades in the Dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
68.
68. Yep.
I think they probably could have gone with 69, but they probably didn't for obvious reasons.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. I hear you.
But the big reason that I'd bring up TV series is being able to do problems of the week as a short-term thing, while also having more overarching matters.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say there was a spy craze in the 60s, even Doctor Who wasn't immune to it. Like that was the Pertwee era of Who.
Yeah.
And there was a bit of spy elements with how he portrayed the Doctor, and of course the relationship with Unit. But I feel the reason I picked Mission Impossible first and foremost is that has possibly the best framing device for bringing something into Shadow Scar.
You're talking about the whole disavowal, and if this message will explode in, or be destroyed in like 10 seconds thing.
Yep.
Yep.
Uh, and of course, they also bring up utilizing the mosaic, which you could do with either world hopping or Vanguard teams.
Mm.
A Vanguard team is where all the players' agents are recruited from the same world, and they only go on missions in that world.
You're certainly going to have. Go ahead.
They're called Vanguards because their job is more about watching over that world and defending it from yokai rather than hunting down threats.
Yep, and for your weebs, you can have like your Japan world. You can have for your steampunks, we've got the steampunk world. There's those that there's definitely going to be players that are going to be drawn to one of the specific 4 worlds that are detailed in the book.
Yep. And they go into stealth and the Veil War. As tempting as it would be to bring up Metal Gear Solid when it comes to referencing stealth games, I feel like a better case would be Tenchu. Especially since Tenchu doesn't have a easy way to see what the field of vision is for enemies.
Yeah.
So then we go into applying the rules. Every strike team has a handler. The method of punishments, i.e., there are certain things you have to follow, and if you don't follow those rules, you can get punished. Those punishments could be probation, demotion. You lose requisition rank for a certain amount of time. Imprisonment. You're held in the crypt for a period of time. And are fed simple meals of millet porridge and water.
Yep. That would be a fun session.
And of course, they're going to have a special prison to break you out because, as an agent, you're probably going to be trained in some measure of escape. I have a soft spot in certain stories where they have this extremely elaborate prison that's built to house one person because of how much of a threat that they are.
Like the whole Magneto plastic prison thing.
Yeah, that's one example. The layered underground prison there was for Kai Lung in Kung Fu Panda.
Oh, yeah.
The white rooms in Tartarus in Hiroaka.
It's definitely a trope. I'm sure we could find it on TV tropes if we cared to figure out what it's called.
But then they go into one of the main villain factions you'll see, which is the Hollow Eye Syndicate. The Hollow Eye Syndicate are rogue agents. Like if an agent goes rogue, they'll become a new Kanin, and usually if a new Kanin is discovered, there's going to be a priority of trying to capture them so that they don't spill the beans.
Yeah.
However, and the big reason they're called the Hollow Eye is they surgically removed the eye that had the recorder tattoo in it.
Looking very piratey, I approve.
And they utilize a special Mikyo in order to tear rifts in reality, similar to certain yokai. They maintain hideouts in each of the known worlds, and probably in the uncharted ones as well. Their whole thing is using the skills they learned from being Shadowscar agents to better themselves. but it's not really a unified front. They are an alliance of convenience. Each of them knows that on their own they'd eventually be caught by the agency, but together they can stay one step ahead. This also means there's no honor among thieves and even less among assassins.
Very true. If you have a highly trained killer who's gone missing because they were a loose cannon, you put a bunch of those people in the same room, they're not gonna get along too well.
Mm-hmm. And the only person who really has loyalty is Malakota, who is the leader of the syndicate. And the power behind him, the Malebranche, the 11 most trusted members of the syndicate, who are his personal council, as well as bodyguards, problem solvers, and there's likely it's likely meant to be a mirror to the Zodiac Council.
You should look at some of the names of those Malebranche monk. Some of them look familiar to me.
Yeah, a lot. I know why you brought that up, and especially brought that up with me. But
yeah,
I also understand what they are referencing, because all of those names are names of high-ranking members of Malebolgia.
Okay.
Like, all of them are on some level referencing the Divine Comedy.
Yes.
Let me. Yeah, the Malebranche is also a nod to Inferno.
Yep.
The Malebranche are the Quoth Wikipedia. The Malebranche are the demons in Inferno, who guard Bolgia 5 of the 8th Circle, Malebolgia. Their job is forcing corrupt politicians to stay under the surface of a boiling lake of pitch.
Okay. My tax dollars are going to that? No, I'm here for it.
A lot of people believe that they were garbled versions of names of officials contemporary to Dante.
Yeah.
Which that definitely tracks. There's a lot of names and references that can be summed up as people, places, or things that Dante didn't like.
Indeed. And all of those names look pretty Italianish to me, you know.
Mm-hmm. But I do like that we have a sidebar about if your players want to run a campaign where they're members of the Hollow Eye Syndicate or defect to it midway through. There's some positives and negatives.
Yep.
I think what would be an interesting approach is to use this to do a double agent thing.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of deep cover double agent that, as far as the rest of the agency is considered, doesn't exist.
Yep. Deep infiltration, and maybe like only one player chooses that, and the rest are actually members of the Hollow Eye.
Let's see, but then we have the yokai. And the different forms that they can take. As well as the fact that we have yokai clans. The Tenma clan from the who made a name for themselves during the last Battle of Kyoto. The Masquerade, who landed in the Steel Court. The Blood Family, who landed in 5th Street. The Darkest Dawn, who landed in Refuge. I feel like this is the way to introduce the idea of this is how the yokai adapted to the other worlds aside from Nakatsukuni, and settled themselves in so they didn't draw too much attention.
Yep.
And then of course we have a whole thing on Izanami.
Okay, she looks she's living her best life, you can tell. Doing what's right for her.
Mm-hmm. And obviously she was the primordial woman in Japanese mythology and then was corrupted by Yomi.
Yep.
But then of course Yomi, the land of the dead. And we do have a question answered in a sidebar of what Yomi actually wants.
Okay.
Then the Yomi that the kami oppose now is nothing more than a puppet for a much more dangerous foe. This unknowable being has been watching the mosaic since its creation and has decided the time has come to destroy it. Only by witnessing existence and making sense of the mosaic can players discover the truth and uncover the oncoming war that will dwarf the Veil War entirely. So it's nice that they have that little mystery that they can delve into in the future, but there's no room to delve into that here. But then we have the totality of the mosaic and what you might be looking at when you gaze into the pure form of the mosaic that we mentioned could drive you crazy if you did it.
Yep.
And I do like that they put a sidebar about what's really going on in the world of Shadowscar. Here it is. If you read the text below this warning, you'll know the secret. Now, you may not want to read further to keep the mystery mysterious, but I was eventually convinced to put this section so the storyteller could weave the meta-narrative of Shadowscar into their game if they like. So now I will give you the choice. And it does talk about the concept of this place known as the Great Gallery, which you are a small rat in a maze about, as well as the presence of the artist and the director. And I do like that with each each attempt to look at the mosaic, you have potential results of what you might see, whether it's the Great Gallery, what you see, hear, and feel, the artist, the creations, the corpses, the corrupted, and the director. It is a nice touch. But then we go into building missions. Starting with how missions are assigned. There is a variation if you want to do the good old notice board. Difficulty of missions, the location, the culprit, which could be yokai, local factions, or New Canaan. The goal of the culprit, and building the puzzle. And of course, these are in their own little random chart, much like how if you've ever played Shadowrun, that is famous for having a mission generator if you need to pull a one-off mission out of your ass, which you're going to have to do at some point. But mission location deals with the world. Are there multiple locations? What locations? What points of interest? The culprit of the mission between type and group size. Then the goals for a major or minor figure or faction or establishment or chaos. And hi bots. Bye bots. The resource goals, the Veil War goals. Whether or not there's a time limit. And how prepared the opposition is.
Mm-hmm.
As well as complications and twists. And
okay, that's kind of nice to have that in case, or even just to help get an idea started if you're not sure what you want to do next.
Oh yeah. Then we have a thing on using your own worlds, which the Mosaic already leaves a backdoor open for this kind of thing, so it's good that this is in the storyteller guide.
Yeah.
But things to consider are the tone, the power level of the world. The reason, i.e. how they end up in that world in the first place. The potential for a meta plot line, which could forego the yokai entirely. The unique features of the world, which might be things like scaling health, damage, or armor, because you might be dealing with native creatures who are not standard human.
Sure, get some Gorns in there,
or even say John Carter on Mars.
Yeah. Some Martians.
Mm-hmm. Things like scaling speed, coming up with homeland abilities, especially if you want to create agents from whatever new world you're making. Creating quirks, techniques, and magic. And as an example, they use they use Cyberpunk Red as a Shadowscar world.
Why not?
With its own homeland abilities, if you want to have a agent who's and you're now imagining Johnny Silverhand as a Shadowscar agent and all the chaos that would that would come out of that.
Morpheus, I know ninjutsu.
Actually, I think an even funnier thing would be to have Atom Smasher as a new Kanin. But and we do have the cyberware as a unique feature, which you can get cyberware through requisition points.
Do you have to give them back after the mission? I hope not. But, that would just be like Ghost in the Shell. You may have a cyber body, but it's actually still owned by the corporation.
Mm-hmm. Although, by the way, it was really funny looking at some parts of Reddit having a meltdown over the more recent Ghost in the Shell anime.
The one that's currently coming out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Acting as if they got tricked. I'm like, the manga has been available in English for decades.
Like, did they want more Otomo? Did they want another standalone complex? Let me tell you, folks, those have already been made. You know,
Mhm.
let's try something else.
I
It's
think you
not
were
such a
thinking of
terrible thing.
Oshi, not Otomo.
Oh yeah, I was thinking of Oshi. I always get those two mixed up.
Mhm. And then we have the Rogues Gallery, and I very much like the prison setup we have here.
Yep, looking a little like what is that movie? The Cabin in the Woods to me.
Uh, say the Cabin in the Woods, although because of one of them just standing there like a well monk, like he's dressed. Um,
Yep.
I can't help but think of um a Oni and a agent recreating some of the prison interrogation scene, not interrogation but conversation scenes with Hannibal Lecter in both Silence of the Lambs and Red Dragon.
Yep.
Although between the two of them, I enjoy the version in Red Dragon more. Though it's an interesting contrast. Clarice was willing to engage in a little bit of verbal sparring, whereas Will just completely stonewalls Hannibal.
Yep. No, I've not seen Red Dragon. I really should really get around to
Mm-hmm.
that. Um, yeah, I do like Ed Norton, so that's a
Mm-hmm.
thing I should look into. And then it's like I can see it though with that monk character being like, I ate his liver with some edamame and a nice sake.
Oh, pretty much. Oh. Now, when it comes to the Rogues Gallery, this is, of course, the Bestiary. Ah, the
Hmm.
types of enemies can be either mundane ones, yokai, or magical enemies. And instead of a level or something like that, because this isn't a game that has levels, we instead have a threat ranking system. Uh, First rank threats are minor threats unless they're in groups or have an advantage. So your mooks. Second rank ones would be threats for Genin agents. Uh, Third rank ones would be considered dangerous to Genin agents and challenging the Chunin agents. Fourth rank ones should only be fought one-on-one by Jonin.
Okay.
And they do have a sidebar about how there is the possibility of fifth rank threats, but they are very, very rare.
So you probably have to uncover them if you're going to actually uproot them.
Well, it talks about fifth rank threats would have been categorized as a threat so dire that one instance of this threat could wipe out an entire city. The only creatures to receive this designation are the Kyojin yokai of the 100 Years of Sorrow, the 8 Thunder Kami of Yomi no Kuni, and Izanami herself. Enemies of this threat level are almost unique instances always. They are beyond dangerous in combat and cannot effectively be taken on by a single agent. There's no rank 5 threats in the core rulebook, probably because in order to be at a level where you could take on a rank 5 threat, you'd have to be at the level of not a Jonin, but part of the council.
Yeah. Or it said a single agent, so a team might be able to take one on, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Still though, it would be rough. You would imagine.
Oh yeah.
These are like the people in the last arc of Naruto who was the guy controlling the guy controlling the guy controlling the guy. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then we have the breakdown of the dossier. So their description, their secondary stats, which are going to work similar to PC. A lot of the stats are going to work similar to PC stats.
Mm-hmm.
Their skills, their weaponry if they have it, their quirks if they have it, any Mikyo that they have, obviously the art. but when it comes, I think the only maybe this will be something considered in the future, but I would like to see a NPC creation system at some point. It's not in here,
Yeah.
and I'd imagine the reason it's not in the core book is not enough room. Because we're dealing with a core book that's just shy of 300 pages.
Yeah. Hanya, all right.
Mm-hmm. And not every threat here has has every element of the sheet. Like some of them have weapons and some of them don't, for example. And even though they're put in the rogues gallery, that doesn't mean every single one of them is something you're going to be fighting.
Indeed. That Kunitsu Kami looks fairly friendly, although I don't know what it actually is. Though it has a threat rating of 4, so there's that.
A Kunitsu Kami, or Earthly Spirit, is a kami of great power who lives in Nakatsukuni as opposed to the high heavenly planes. These kami are powerful enough to be worshipped as local deities and regional lords, but not considered to be deities in the same way as the Amatsu Kami. They act very much like humans, except that they don't have to eat or drink, age at a glacial pace, and require almost no sleep. These changes tend to make Kunitsu Kami slightly more impulsive than humans, but can also grant them infinite patience when waiting for an outcome.
Okay.
And obviously,
they don't seem inherently malevolent based on that description.
No, it depends on their mood. I think is the vibe they're going with. And something I enjoy about each of the pictures is that it looks like they're taken from an individual cell. Like you look at it, it's all the same. It's all the same kind of background, so you can easily go with the idea that they're from one. That this is a photo from one of these cells we saw at the start.
Yep. Well, Monk. I'm gotta tell you, I'm noticing a few things here that remind me of things I've seen in Neo. So not too much of a surprise.
Yeah. Oh. And so, although with some of them, there's the question of how the hell did you fit him in that, like the Ushioni.
Yeah, let's look at that one. Yeah, he looks a little crammed in there, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm. But there are quite a few entries that we have here, and ones that are of each potential threat ranking. But I'm trying to see if we do have a few that are threat ranking 4, like the Satori. And the Oni. Of course, an Oni is going to be threat rank 4.
Yep.
And you know how everybody wants to eventually fight a dragon in some fantasy games? I think with a more combat-focused campaign in Shadowscar, inevitably you're going to be fighting an Oni at some point, and that is going to be a big B-bag kind of fight.
They are iconic.
Mm-hmm.
And also very difficult, so.
Mm-hmm. But after that, it does go into a few sample missions, which we won't cover, although I do appreciate that and not a few sample missions, there's just one called 21st Century Rock. And we do have an index. I kind of wish there was a um, indexing for the bestiary based on threat level, but
Hmm.
that's not something I'm going to lose sleep over.
Yeah.
And that more or less covers Shadowscar. So before I get to my thoughts on and where I'm going to grade it,
Yep.
what's been your take on Shadowscar?
We know who this is for, right? This is for people who like, well, the entry point is Naruto, maybe Jujutsu Kaisen, which is smart. And not only that, I feel like the authors have kind of put in some additional fandoms that they really like. Like, we've got our Japan-like setting, which is reminiscent of like the Okami games. We've got our steampunk, our noir, our future setting. There's a lot of different entry points for a lot of different people. So the rule of cool here is go strong and not just in one and in a variety of and at a variety of angles.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's going to help it out quite a bit with spreading around. But what did I think of it as far as systems and so forth go? It seems it seems like a lot of fun. I'm gonna be honest. It seems like um, you're gonna have a lot of different ways to and create a fun character. Um, I don't know that you need to worry about party balance necessarily in the same way as you might in other games. Just kind of take the kit that you like, the ones that you think work for your ninja, and build out your character.
Mm-hmm.
And that is cool. It seems like they give us a lot of good tools here to not only make interesting characters, but also to build interesting missions. Um, they give us just enough information to give us some good ideas about what works in the setting or what works in the system and what doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of I think there's a low barrier of entry for people who are weebs because you already know a lot of the tropes that go into it. And the only thing I think might need a little explaining is the Veil War and getting across the idea that this is a stealth game
Yeah.
and not just like a go in all go, not like your standard dungeon crawler.
Mm-hmm.
Probably you're going to be working inside cities and things like that more often than not, though I suppose there's probably opportunities to go out in the countryside of various places. But let's be honest, in at least three of the different settings, cities are what feature prominently, and that is okay because that's where the yokai are going to want to be. That's where they can, hurt and corrupt people. So all in all, Monk, I like what this one is putting out. I think if I'm gonna, do we think we need to assign a number score to it? If we
No, no,
must,
no. We never.
no, don't do
We
that.
never do.
Okay.
No. I have not done numerical scores in over a decade.
Yeah. Okay. No, totally fair. We'll leave that. We don't need to put a number on it.
Mm-hmm.
Just I think that this is going to appeal to people who are into anime and specifically shonen anime. And I think that that is all well and good and is going to draw in a lot of people. Good broad appeal and good mechanics.
Yep.
They keep it pretty simple, but also give you a little bit of room to play around with your abilities. It feels like I like it.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think?
So obviously, this is not my first rodeo with it. Zan and I covered the quick start Eyes in the Darkness some time ago, as well as well the jump start kit as well as the quick start. And
Yeah,
I mentioned at the start of this season that I did interview Cody.
yeah,
But Shadowscar hits upon a particular subgenre of shonen battle manga that I call Secret Guardians. these are ones where you're dealing with some sort of order that is protecting normal people from a unseen threat. Jujutsu Kaisen would be a recent example of this, but other ones would be early Bleach, Demon Slayer, D. Greyman, Blue Exorcist, Yu Yu Hakusho in the first season. That's as well as the Garo Tokusatsu series.
Yeah, I've heard of that. I mean, I've seen that on Crunchy and a few other places, but I've never really had the chance to check it out.
I know Garo has had its run in anime form, but it started as a Tokusatsu series, and that's how I'll always associate it. Especially since the first run of Garo had a literal who's who behind the scenes of legendary folk with when it came to producing Tokusatsu. And because of the fact that it was on satellite television at late night instead of Sunday morning on a all ages superhero block, well, not all ages, it's more of 12 plus. They were able to lean a lot more into horror, but a lot of the folk who worked on it had made a name for themselves working on various Toei Tokusatsu in the 90s. But those are entries that come to mind very easily, especially since doing a Monster of the Week setup would be pretty easy in this system. This is a very flexible fare. That being said, I've noticed an interesting phenomenon where certain games are actually harder for people to grasp if they have a tabletop background versus if they don't. The reason I say that is because some people, when they come in with an established tabletop background, they have this idea on how things are supposed to work, and aren't as willing to adapt because
you got your assumptions.
Now, I try to minimize my assumptions as best I can because I cover a variety of games, obviously. But for some, they may have spent years only playing that one game, and they think that's the normal, that's the approach you're supposed to do.
Sure.
This kind of thing got brought up yesterday when the question of what a balanced encounter would look like for Dungeon... Not yesterday, but on Tuesday. About what the idea of a balanced encounter in a game like Dungeoneers might be. And I had to make clear that idea of what a balanced encounter is, or how many encounters per session, most TTRPGs do not do that.
Yeah.
In my opinion, trying to do that is something that creates more problems than it solves. That's why I've never been a fan of that sort of assumption being built into the mechanics of the world's most litigious RPG.
Sure.
But I've even seen it with my own work. There have been a few times where people have asked what a balanced encounter looks like in Legend Edition, or how to set up a dungeon or the like. And I had to make clear I didn't build it with dungeons in mind. Because this is a neutral sandbox, and not every campaign needs a dungeon. I think if there's anything that's going to be a tricky thing, it is going to be stealth. Now, the way that the stealth mechanics work here are fine, but a big reason I say it's going to be tricky is stealth mechanics aren't taken advantage of as much in a lot of TTRPGs. Even in ones that you'd think would benefit from being stealthy. Like, say, Shadowrun. A lot of the times the stealth is just a extended series of skill rolls. And this level of this kind of awareness level thing, for people who have an established tabletop background, this is going to be a bit trickier for them to grasp. Now, for somebody who has a background with video games or with anime, it's going to be a much easier thing to grasp, in my opinion. And when I say tabletop background, I'm mainly talking about the more ubiquitous high fantasy entries,
Sure.
or just the ones that are more combat focused. Period. I know one might say, but you mentioned Shadowrun a minute ago. I wouldn't despite the level of combat that can be brought to bear with Shadowrun, I'm not entirely sure if I'd consider that combat focused in the same way. Especially since how much combat you're going to be doing is ultimately going to, much like Shadowscar here or Cyberpunk Red, because it's mission focused, how much combat or not combat you're doing is ultimately going to be dependent on the mission. So it is very flexible on that front. And I would say this is, for me, because of the fact that the problems that I could potentially find are so minuscule, Shadowstar gets a grade of strongly recommended. It is dedicated to doing a certain thing, and it's interested in doing solely that, and it's doing it very well.
Yes.
So, with that said, I would like to thank the folks over at R. Talsorian Games for providing me with an early copy, even though it took me way too long to put anything out. I would like to thank Jay Gray and Cody Pondsmith especially for working with me the times that they have. And will I end up covering more Shadowscar in the future? When it comes to the free LCs that they do every month, no. A full-on expansion book would be more likely because I'd have more stuff to chew on. Like, for example, I'm not going to try and cover the individual missions like the one that was Christmas themed. And
right,
the Secret Agent Santa thing, which was all about giving Secret Santa rules for the base. Although I do like that they gave the option for Omionji to be used. There's some good stuff. There's some good stuff within the free LC expansions that R. Talsorian has put out. There's just not enough there for me to dedicate a whole stream to it.
Yeah.
Not enough meat on the bones, as I said. Now, with that in mind, let's talk about what we have coming down the road. So,
indeed, folks, nothing but quality, I'm sure.
Yeah. So since we are going to be in between seasons next week, that means it's back to a double feature. In this case, let me see what I've got here. We're going to be covering an older entry and a not-so-older entry. Because what we have is a Wanderer's Romance, one of the very early entries when it came to free RPGs that I discovered. This one's from a while ago. It's also not very big. And the other one, which is appropriate given recent events, is Wild Space. Now, full disclosure, Wild Space is done by Lost Haven, and him and I have collabed plenty of times. Wild Space is his tribute to Star Fox.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I guess I knew that he was doing that. I just didn't place that name with it. Very nice, though. Especially relevant because not only do we have the new Star Fox out for Nintendo, but we also have Wild Blue Skies releasing, if it's not already released, releasing very soon.
Yeah. I am not going to. I am not going to spin the screen during the stream next week because that would get nauseous. Do a barrel roll.
Totally fair.
Oh,
Do a barrel roll. Yeah.
And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up that years ago, as a Easter egg on Google, if you type dual barrel roll, the screen would spin. Oh.
But I think it'll be okay if the audience, when we do this, wishes us good luck.
Mm-hmm. Every time I hear it in that form, I keep thinking of it in Smash TV. Good luck! You'll need it!
Nope, that's one of my favorite ever video game sound bites.
Mm-hmm. Oh. I had to bring up Smash TV because, as I've stated many, many, many times, I love Twin Stick.
Yeah, I never played that game. I remember seeing it in Nintendo Power, though. Was that SNES or NES?
SNES. Okay. But it was one of those games that was on SNES, but the better version was in arcades.
No doubt, because you get the actual joysticks that way.
Well, the actual joysticks and arcade machines were more powerful than consoles.
Oh, yeah.
But with that said, the week after our double feature, we will be delving into Beacon, because I announced this on Twitter and Blue Sky a while back, but for the coming seasons, I want to put a bigger focus on video game themed TTRPGs. Or at least video game especially ones that are inspired by either directly or indirectly console style RPGs. Part of this was in response to a growing frustration of people throwing Fabula Ultima in every conversation regarding this style of play.
Yeah.
Much in the same way I get annoyed when people bring up Lancer anytime we're talking about mechs and TTRPGs. And not us here,
use Lancer for it.
Yeah. I end up hearing, just use Lancer, bro. And I'm like, Lancer's a fine game, but depending on what someone is looking for, that might not fit them. Like, if you want to do Macross, Lancer is not a good idea. Unless you want to house rule the Veritex, which, that is a choice. Not a choice I would take personally, but it is a choice. And because you'd have to make the stats imagine making the stats for all 3 forms of a Veritech.
Seems hard.
Oh. Yeah, and finding a way to make all three of them viable.
Yeah.
So, fortunately, there is the Robotech RPG by Strange Machine Games. That's what I'd probably tell people to go with instead in that instance. Which, full disclosure, I've worked with Strange Machine Games in the past, and I did a whole campaign about the Hannibal War. Although the ending was a bit different from what it was in the original module, but no one plays Uno as written, as I've said many times. Now,
yep.
Beacon is a game that I believe I have interviewed about it. I need to double check if I did impressions on it. I think I did. Okay, never mind. I have not done an impressions video on Beacon. I only ever did the interviews, which another one is going to be coming. The one shot, and the conversion to Legend Edition.
Yeah.
And I will note Beacon does have has some similar DNA to Lancer. In fact, I remember Tim saying that that he was nervous about Icon because he thought, wait, does that mean Massive Press is going to be doing exactly what I was doing? And then he saw that that was that had a completely different setup, and he was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah. Now I'm looking at the itch.io page for Pirate Gonzalez games right now, and it lists Lancer as one of the inspirations.
Oh, it very much is. You're going to see a lot of
Yeah.
DNA of that, as well as a few other things, and
Hmm.
it also allows me to be insufferable about D&D 4th edition.
Yeah.
This being yet another game that is heavily inspired by 4th edition, the edition I'm supposed to hate, but the check bounced. Keep telling y'all, if you want me to hate 4th edition, you gotta pay me. And
Okay, well, I'm getting paid tomorrow. Can you wait a day?
Depends on if you can afford the price.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, all right. I think this one's out of my price range. And anyways, I don't care because I did have fun with 4th edition.
Yeah, I give people a lot of shit for that, because I've seen a lot of people switch up on me regarding 4th over the years.
Yeah.
Or in some cases, it's clear to me that they're going into all these critiques about a game they didn't even read. It's like, that's a nice comment. Who gave it to you? But that being said, that will wrap it up for this particular episode. As mentioned, we will be back here next week with the double feature, and I will be back here tomorrow for more of Augusta Universalis. Since we're getting close to getting into the meat and potatoes of the mechanics for that. And people are able to see very clearly that despite some tangential appearances, this is not 40K.
No.
Although if I had a nickel for every Noble Bright game involving Power Armor that I've covered this year, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. Twitch, clip that. And with that said, as always, a sincere thanks to everyone who took the time out of their schedule to come onto the show and enjoy the madness. There'll be plenty more where that came from, as there always is here, on the open bar of the internet. But until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra, I am your gaming monk. Stay fucking frosty, everybody!
Bonsoir.